The devil is interesting. It seduces and it tempts us to believe that we can achieve much more within ourselves. In this episode, we're going to look at possession. What is the entity that takes control? Is it from the outside or the inside? Is it the devil? Is it ghost? Is it ourselves? Possession is a state of being completely dominated by an idea or emotion, or an external unseen entity like a spirit. A person who is possessed could appear mentally troubled and can be diagnosed as crazy. But the cause of this madness can either be natural or paranormal, linking to issues of spirit disturbances. It is common for us to believe that possession is caused by spirits and ghosts. Let's find out if spirit possession is actually a form of mental disorder.
A spirit possession is a mental disorder as defined by Western nosology. In other words, in certain cultures and religions, spirit possession is a reality. Western classification approaches, which are not religious, say that it is a mental disorder.
So, doing the work that you've done for the past 15 years, did you gradually become open to spirit possession?
I believe it's possible. I'm open to the idea just because we don't know. We really don't know. I'd like to think that when we leave this earth, we go into a spiritual world or a spirit world. I'd like to believe that, yes. And if you believe that you're possessed, you will be.
Okay, spirit possession is not a mental disorder. It's due to possession and it's due to external factors, sometimes beyond the patient's control. And it has to be cured by methods which do not work in a hospital.
What is the state of mind of a person who may be inflicted with spirit possession?
My answer would be it is a psycho-spiritual reaction, a psycho-spiritual state. In human life, there are 4 domains that merge all together in one person. The biological domain, the psychological domain, the social domain, the spiritual domain. So when we talk about spirit possession, we are talking about one of the 4 domains. That is the spiritual domain, because spiritual beings are unseen beings.
What do you mean by psycho-spiritual?
But that's what I see all these last few decades of my life as a psychiatrist. No spiritual influence happens without psychological response to it in a human being.
Through my research, I also find that spiritual possessions are very much dependent on the culture they originate from and the belief systems they operate upon.
In every culture, they've got their own beliefs into what leads to a certain illness, what may lead to a certain disorder, what maintains the disorder, and what can take the disorder away. So every culture, they've got their own beliefs. And the thing about Asian culture, usually we get studies from the Western point of view, which may not necessarily understand it from that culture's point of view.
When I went to Kelantan and studied about the therapeutic shamanic performance of Main Puteri, and in Kuala Lumpur, a modern psychological system of healing known as Universal Constellations, I noticed that possessions by our desires, emotions, and past memories can be more frightening than spirits and ghosts. Before we explore deeper into the mechanics of Main Puteri, I was introduced to Dr. Lu, a qualified and trained traditional Chinese medicine doctor, a psychologist, and a spiritual master who has a unique understanding of possession through a system he calls Universal Constellations.
Constellation actually is a kind of psychologist treatment, very famous in the international, actually, in the arena of the psychiatric and psychologist doctor. Then having family constellations, they heal a family matter like interrelationship, of course including ancestral problem and also including abortion child spirit problem. Some abortion child spirit might influence the magnetic fields of the family and also influence the emotion, will bring negative emotion to the family members. Then the family will having problem.
Universal Constellations use role play and dramatization to heal. It heals the negative patterns in our relationships with our family, ancestors, career, money, and the environment, to even our previous lives. Through the constellations, the causes are acted out by human representatives for the patient to see, experience, accept, let go, and repent.
From the cell memory, now go deeper to the spirit memory. So he will access to more deeper dimensions of the energy, where is a spiritual memories.
Dr. Lu, through Universal Constellations, a healing system that he created based on family constellations, popularized by Mr. Bert Hellinger, the illness can be on 3 levels: physically, mentally, and ultimately on the soul level, where there could be spirit disturbances, past life issues, and even black magic influences. So far, I have discovered that possession extends beyond spirits and that we can be dominated by our emotions, pains, and memories from past lives. This can appear slightly strange, and even I find it challenging to comprehend and accept. But this is the paranormal zone, and we explore the illogical. So it is good that we do keep an open mind. You have lost control. I am still with Dr. Lu and his students of Universal Constellations. What I find most intriguing are the representatives who represent the energies, people, spirits, and even the black magic curses in a patient's life. According to them, they do not know of the patient's stories and conditions beforehand. There is absolutely no trance taking and no danger involved, just trusting the system.
The representatives are able to receive the energy from the universe, and we were able to act out what is actually happening to her at that point of time. So from there, we are able to sort of know what is the cause of the problem. We are not in trance, we are very alert as to what is happening. There are some very strong energy as long as we act it out, because we are projecting what is happening to the client. So once this thing is being projected into the open, the energy seems to disperse after that.
You please represent the energy as the wrong shoe.
I have requested Dr. Lu for me to take part in the constellations as a representative. However, it wasn't easy, and maybe because I was new and skeptical.
Can you go more deeper and go into the character? Let the message enlarge the message. Yes, follow the message and follow the body language.
Although I did not succeed in being a representative, I have gathered that there are other unseen factors like desires and memories that can cause possessions. The devil inside comes in many shapes, forms, and sizes. Jessie started out as a client of Dr. Lu 4 years ago. Today, she's a student and also an active representative of Universal Constellations. Recently, Jessie was attacked by severe headaches. She was taking up to 6 painkillers per day, but to no avail. Could Universal Constellations help her this time?
What I do is I combine both.
Right.
Sometimes medication doesn't help because it keeps coming back. It's like a repeat, so it doesn't stop.
So something in you made you feel that it was much deeper.
Yes, it's something else, not just something physical, It's just not just a physical pain. It goes deeper than that.
I noticed that witnesses of the constellations do vomit, cry, or cough during the sessions. I was told that they are either helping to clear and clean the energies for the client, or they themselves may have similar issues as that of the client. These characteristics are also common in other forms of spiritual healing. From this session, it was diagnosed that Jessie's headache was caused by black magic. However, What puzzled me most was the representative who played the energy of the black magic itself. In the exercises earlier, you represented a very angry spirit and it was all over your face. And I can imagine you have lost control.
How you feel when he come out? Please help.
No. Throughout the whole process, there's no such thing as lost control. There's this feeling that you're supposed to represent this character, and this character is having some anger. It's only on the face that you're angry, but deep inside, I don't feel the anger.
Why do you allow yourself to participate in that way and putting your body through such a physical drain?
It's not really a physical drain, it's like a mutual sharing thing. So when I have a problem, then they will representing me to let me see what is going on with me and also my environment. When they are having the same problem, I am the representative to represent them.
I will become a demon. I'll come back and take your life and take your family's life.
This energy still do not want to let go. She's still holding the hatreds.
First of all, we need to understand the principle of universal constellations. Whatever happening in this constellations field, the purpose is let the invisible dynamic things expose under the sunlight. If not, this kind of energy will hidden. You never found it, and the karma become very solid. Through the constellation, actually, we let the energy manifest. So we could see the energy form. The transformations will happen according to the realizations of our client.
After learning a little bit deeper about universal constellations, I begin to understand that we are easily controlled by our subconscious thoughts, memories and feelings that, according to Dr. Lu, can extend to our past lives. We may appear to be possessed by spirits and even mentally unstable, but now we know that there could be other explanations. To understand the different types of possessions better, I am now heading to Eastern Peninsula, Malaysia to learn about Main Puteri. Main Puteri is an ancient and unique shamanic dance and healing ritual that centralizes mainly in Kelantan. This traditional healing method refers to a welder, or the tok putri, who plays the central role of the healer in the ceremony. He is the one who wells the semangat or spiritual energy of a person that is low with assistance from a few friendly spirits.
Main Puteri untuk mengubati.
Main Puteri heals a form of sickness that is caused by blocked inner winds, which cannot be cured in the hospital. A person who is soulful and sentimental is driven by this inner wind. When the winds are blocked, he will need Main Puteri to heal his broken spirit.
After my own research and investigation, I came to define angin as a kind of inner desires and urges which are connected with various kinds of invisible entities and so on and so forth. So it has to do with firstly with the emotions. It is very strongly connected with emotions. Secondly, it's connected with certain kinds of diseases which are in fact also indirectly related to emotions, but can also be caused by spirits.
What I'm understanding, angin, which direct translator is wind, is not a disease per se. It is actually an innate, internal, deep desire for something that wants to manifest. And when there are obstacles or obstructions that prevents this manifestation of a desire, the wind cannot be released, the desire cannot be released. These problems are normally not found under medical terms. According to Pak Rahim, who is an apprentice tok putri, his desire to perform the wayang kulit or shadow puppets is quite similar to being possessed by the art itself.
Main Puteri ini bukan untuk.
Main Puteri is not used for healing a wound that is caused by an external cut or a fall. Main Puteri is meant to heal the pains and unfulfilled desires of a sensitive and sentimental soul.
Alah, apa lolong kat hol nyot. Ya, ngasa mbok antara yang kedua ngasa. Pati semua raja, ayat ngapung, beli-beli poh kali apung raja. Jadi apabila saya
My inner wind is the desire to perform the wayang kulit. When I can't perform, I will fall sick, and there is no cure through modern healing. The doctors can't find anything wrong with me. I won't be able to eat or sleep at night, and I will be confused and depressed.
Bila main puteri,
Through a Main Puteri session, I discovered my inner wind is wayang kulit. I was immediately given the shadow puppets to play with, and that was how I realized my desires in the Main Puteri theatre.
In Main Puteri, what I find most interesting is that some desires, or angin, appear in the form of a guardian spirit, while unseen beings and ghosts are said to be present during each performance, as we will witness in the next segment.
Is it spirit possession? Or are we talking about maybe psychological problems?
pada pandangan saya,
Angin, or the inner wind, is not a ghost. It is a type of possession by our feelings, our emotions.
Emotional possession.
In the Main Puteri theatre, the Tok Putri will use psychological methods to end the confusions and sadness of the patient's soul. When the Tok Putri persuades him, the wind will arise by itself. When it rises this way, all the blocked emotions that cause him pain and illness will also be released.
Saya sakit. He's at risk of handing it.
Spirit possession is a reality.
I'm open to the idea just because we don't know.
Some very strong energy. We are projecting what is happening.
apabila saya tersekat,
When I can't perform, I will fall sick.
In this episode, we have learned that there could be other types of possession, such as those caused by inner winds in Main Puteri, or past life memories and energies in Universal Constellations. But I do have a question. Would all these methods of healing have any room for personal responsibility? Mr. Syed has been suffering from the interferences of angin hala for 20 years. It is a type of wind that cannot be destroyed even after performing the Main Puteri for 7 times. It is something that he inherited from his ancestors. The angin hala makes him feel sick, tired and moody, and it sometimes appears to Mr. Syed in a ghostly form which disturbs him.
Saya sakit apa orang panggil sakit angin ya.
My type of sickness is caused by inner winds. Even after seeing the doctor and conducting a medical checkup, I cannot be cured. It is true that I inherited this wind known as hala from my grandfather who was a shaman. He kept the hala as a guardian spirit to protect the village and his family. When he passed away, the spirit was neglected and now has chosen me as its new owner. But I do not want to keep it.
I would like to find out if these inner winds actually create a situation for spirit possessions.
Just now you mentioned that the healer will recite the jampi. Is the recitation or what they are reciting, is it religious in nature?
jampi dia bukan.
A jampi is not about religion, but about humanity.
Blessings are requested from the spiritual teacher, and offerings are also made to the unseen friends to ensure that everyone within and outside the Main Puteri theatre is safe.
It started really quite slow just now, but now it's getting quite exciting because the actual healing process is taking place. The gentlemen over there, they all play different roles. The Tok Putri is also playing a different role. And what happens is they need to call on to the positive energies or the spirits to come and assist in the healing process. So just now they call in the spirits, and they also need to clear the negative spirits that's surrounding before they can start the healing process. So they kind of take turns, and there are different energies playing in the stage, so to speak, over there.
Through the invocations of the Tok Putri, who himself is on trance of a few helpful spirits, Mr. Zayed is now completely taken over by the Angin Hala, or a type of inherited guardian spirit. I wonder if what started as an emotional possession has eventually turned into a spirit possession.
Earlier, you had told me that
you can't get rid of the angin hala,
Yeah.
the spirit of the angin hala. But you can only make it go away for a while. When it is away from Encik Zahid, what happens to Encik Zahid?
Dia kalau macam tu, dia mengikut ketahanan dia.
This depends on the patient's perseverance and for how long he can withstand the disturbances of the angin hala. Sometimes, only one session of Main Puteri is needed to heal him, but it really depends on his emotional and mental strength.
Why is it he doesn't want to take on the angin hala?
Dia masalah tanggung hala ni.
If Zahid embraces the angin hala, he is at risk of handing it to his future generations when he passes away. And he also needs to perform rituals to feed it and keep it happy, or else the hala will disturb him. If he resists it now, then the hala will end with him.
As a healing process, it may not be logical, it may not be scientific, but I look at it as a humane, compassionate, and perhaps assistance from higher wisdom. Receiving the emotional support of the community. Sometimes a person's state of being, his mind, controls his emotions. How often one is disturbed by these spirits or these winds going off, it depends on the strength of your mind. It is indeed quite dramatic what we have witnessed, the processes of healing called Universal Constellations and Main Puteri. Many people adopt these methods of healing, but my question is, where is personal responsibility? And the possession, is it really by spirits, or is it the weakness of the mind and emotions that allows yourself to be possessed? My point? Real healing is from mental strength and emotional stability. The devil does exist inside, and so do the solutions. Mind over matter.